Oh, Erika Pinocchio Kirk, I have a question for you. What do you really believe? Because I'm getting a little bit of mixed signals. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In Cahoots Podcast. My name is Nikki, and today we are going to dive into Candace Owens' video and see what got her all riled up, real shaken, upset. This is angry Candace. Ooh, angry Candace is something else. We're going to dive into that, and then we're going to take a look at a interview. I don't really want to call it an interview, actually. It was just basically Erika Pinocchio Kirk and Charlie Kirk, having a little sit down on the Charlie Kirk show. And we're just going to take a look at a few things that kind of caught my attention. Before we get into that, though, you already know what to do. Please make sure that you smash that subscribe button, smash the comment button. Let me know what you're thinking. And most importantly, smash that like button. Let's get on that algorithm, okay? Also, make sure that you share the video with all of your friends. Turn on that bell so that you know every single time there is a new video out. If you want to support the channel in any way, you can always hit up that Cash App and Venmo that's right there on your screen. The Say Thanks button right there down below. Or you can throw some supers in the chat. Now, let's get into the first clip of Angry Candace because, yeah, she was infuriated. So she says.
So let's just listen to Erika lie.
I get this question too of, well, you were a stay-at-home mom and all this stuff, like that's what you should go back to doing or something like that. A lot of people don't realize that before I met Charlie, I had my own company and I still do. And it was one of those things where I built it in a way where that when I got married and had children, it could run on its own. I didn't have to do day-to-day. I could check in, but I didn't have to do day-to-day. And that's the beautiful thing is like young women in here, if you do create a company or a business and you're an entrepreneur, build it in a way that it sustains itself so that when you do find your husband and you have children, family, that's your main focus. You can have your calling on the side of your company, but your main focus is your husband and your children. And there's something beautiful in that. Unfortunately, I did not see my life being like this. I didn't. So when people are like, oh, she's now this role, I'm honoring what the Lord has put in front of me, and I'm also honoring my husband's request. And now I have to be the sole provider for my children. And again, this is not a business card opportunity. There's something very biblical in a woman honoring her husband and stepping up and standing in. I have an amazing team. I do, and I could not do it without them. Again, my focus is on making sure my children are amazing, young, biblically aligned little humans. But again, perspective, your life is so much greater than just this blip on a radar. And my focus is always making sure that everything that I'm doing is leading me closer to heaven, not further away from it.
But what I find to be interesting now in retrospect is that actually that streetwear company, so she goes on her first official date with Charlie in September of 2018. She actually picked up the domain name to that streetwear company, which is proclaimstreetwear.com, the month after, on October 26th, 2018. So just, by the way, to be clear, this was a very big week for Erika. She picks up this domain name, Proclaim Streetwear, and it's just 2 days after she received her real estate license in New York. At it in October, Proclaim did not actually file to become a business until January of 2019. After she began dating Charlie. That's when she formed the official LLC paperwork. So you're not a business until you have that, okay? Now, we decided to go check because it's like, okay, you make clothing. If you're going to tell us that this is going to somehow you started in 2019 and by 2021, when you get married, it's running on its own, surely I must be able to instantly buy these clothes. No, actually, it wasn't until January 16th, 2021. That's the earliest indication on Wayback Machine that clothing items were actually available for sale on the website. Later that year in September 20th, to be particular, on September 20th, she's going to release an associated app called Bible 365. But again, that's all irrelevant because that's after she married Charlie. And she says that before she married Charlie, she had a business running. It was a machine. So my question is, how did she do it? How did a clothing company, which didn't even have an operable website, become so successful so quickly? And the answer So successful that she was able to consciously step away, as she indicates, and become a wife and a mother just 4 months after selling clothing. And the obvious answer is it didn't happen.
Okay, so we know now that apparently the business was not a business and it was not businessing until after she married Charlie Kirk. Okay, now here's the issue. Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk. Gosh, where's my head? Anyway, it almost seems like she'll push one narrative when it's convenient and then push another one when that one is convenient. So basically when she's doing her speech, she's like, I've had businesses before, and I, was able to keep them running and, focus on other things. It's okay. I've heard her say this before. But then this is also the same Erika that says that it's impossible with a family, that there's no balance. I'll let her say it herself.
Questions.
The study shows that married women with kids are the happiest. Why do you think that is? It's just nature. Just becoming a CEO of a shoe company is not going to give you happiness.
Women have it so mixed up. You can have a career after children, but if you try to have a career while you have your kids, there is no such thing as balance. That is such a myth. Gigi gets those little Montessori toys every month, and there's this one that has the buckets that balance. If I put something in one of those buckets, it's going to drop down. And if I try to balance them, both buckets are filled, which is not realistic. I can't spend half of the day doing one thing. I missed out half of that time with being with the kids. So you have to choose where your heart has to be fully with the home. You have to make that decision on your own, but you can always, after your kids are in school or after they're in high school, you can always go back to work. You can always.
Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk, you said it yourself. That's a myth. There's no balance, right? So that is why people ask you, or those that are connected to you, how are you putting home first? How is it that, you're taking care of this huge company and taking care of your kids the way that you preach that you should? How are you doing both? How are you balancing when you yourself said that is a myth? You cannot balance because women have it so mixed up. Right, Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk? Right? And granted, don't get me wrong. I understand that she was not, from what she says, she wasn't anticipating her husband passing. That's what she said. She didn't expect to have this role. Erika herself said it. Prior to Charlie passing, home needs you. Home needs you. So how are you home? How are you saying that all of a sudden? Well, I have these businesses. I had these businesses before, and I basically saying that she knows how to balance them. But you said there's no such thing as balance. You didn't have to be the CEO, Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk. You didn't have to be. You say you're doing this to honor your husband, but I think I probably would have respected it more if by honoring your husband, you did exactly what he said to you before he died. Be home. Home needs you. I'm just going to go back just a little bit. So just listen to this part.
On that. Unfortunately, I did not see my life being like this. I didn't. So when people are like, oh, she's now this role, I'm honoring what the Lord has put in front of me, and I'm also honoring my husband's request. And now I have to be the sole provider for my children. And again, this is not a business card opportunity. There's something very biblical in a woman honoring her husband and stepping up and standing in.
All right. She said she has to be the sole provider for her children. This I can 100% understand for people that are not like Erika Kirk, as to where their husbands may have passed away but did not leave them a fortune to the wife and the kids. a company that will forever feed their kids. For those who don't have that, no, I understand that, having to step up. If your husband was the main provider in the home, he was the provider, and then something happens to him and now it's your job to step up. Yeah, in our real world, or us little people, that's very, very, very understandable, right? But you can't get mad at people that are on the outside looking in when you make your life this public, and they're on the outside looking in and they're like, what are you doing? You preach that you should be a woman should be at home with the kids, not out here running a business, missing all the precious time. She says it all the time. She used to say it all the time. Especially when she said that the balance is a myth, saying that basically, when your kids are small and you're missing those sweet moments, like, you should be at home with your kids so you don't miss that. Okay, so you have like a 1-year-old, right? Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk. And then you still have a toddler. There's still a lot of moments that you need to capture. So why are we talking about hat sales and shirt sales and merch sales and all of this, and you just out there racking up the money as if there was no one else in that company that could have stepped up and took that role on, and then allowed you to honor your husband even in his death by doing exactly what he asked you to do before he passed away, and just be home with the kids. Because why? Charlie said home needs you. But no, you're the sole provider now. You have to make the money for the family. Okay, let's just listen to this really quick.
How much did you guys discuss religion, finances, politics, how to raise children before getting engaged? If I could just chime in on one of them. Men, you should be completely in charge of finances.
I totally agree.
And your wife should have nothing to do with it. They can have input, but you should release that burden from your wife and just take care of all the money.
I have to say,
they can have input, but release that burden from your wife. I think Charlie did a great job of doing that, even as young as he passed away. I think that Charlie did a great job of securing his kids and his wife's future in the event that he did pass away, in the event that something did happen. How many times has Erika Kirk said it herself? That, Charlie would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. You told us that you guys talked about him wearing bulletproof vests, things like that, which tells me that you guys have talked about the fact that there is a huge possibility that what unfortunately happened to him could happen. And it did. But while he was living, he, in my opinion, did exactly what he literally just said. He took the burden completely off of the wife. He had more than enough money to make sure that his kids would be okay and his wife would be okay in the event that he passed, which he knew was a huge possibility. Granted, we all know Candace Owens said that, and showed the text messages that he felt like he was going to be unalived. He'd made sure that they would be taken care of. So what are we talking about? Why is Erika Kirk saying that she has to be the pretty much the sole provider now, that Charlie Kirk is gone? Charlie said home needs you, Erika. He made sure that you guys would be taken care of and not have to worry about money. So why are you so worried about money if he already took that burden on for you, whether he living or in his death?
Having to provide for just as myself as a woman, having to provide for yourself, especially because when I was living in New York City, it all fell on me. It's exhausting. I love the fact that I can relinquish that role to my husband because he's so good at it, but relinquish it to him and say, I trust you so much. I know you're going to help provide for our family. That is one less thing I have to not deal with. I've watched my mom have to deal with that while she had her own business, and she was my mom and dad in one package because my parents got divorced when I was really young. But to be able to relinquish that to you is so liberating. Yep. And I can focus on other things that are way more important because that's your domain and I don't have to worry about it.
And if you are marrying a man that is not capable of completely and totally handling the finances, that you should not marry that man. Finances will break a marriage quicker than anything else, period. That
Okay. And he did just that. She was able to marry a man that took the burden off of her completely, finances taken care of, whether he was alive or not. And wait a minute. I can't just slide past the whole, taking care of myself and everything falling on me is exhausting. Welcome to adulting. What? Yeah, it is exhausting because not everybody gets to marry a millionaire. And hey, not everybody wants to. Some people really do have to get down and make it work for themselves or themselves and their family. It happens. This is life. That's called adulting. That's life. So we're not going to just skate past that like that was just like the worst thing ever. Like, oh my God, I had to be an adult. I can't believe that. Interesting, Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk. Interesting. However, back to my point. Here's the thing. You can't get mad at people for that, like I said, that are on the outside looking in, that listen to you and Charlie both speak together, listen to you speak on your own, and listen to you say things like, Charlie said home needs you, or women, be home with the kids. Once your kids are, older, high school, graduated, whatever the case may be, then you can, go focus on your career. Or, you should be home with your kids when they're in when the kids are really young, because there's sweet memories that you just don't want to miss because you're out here trying to be a boss babe. Okay. Again, you have a 1.5-year-old or so, something like that. And then you have a toddler. Home needs you, Erika. Home needs you. To be perfectly honest, I think that there are times where you can clearly see when Erika Kirk would talk to Charlie, how she would call BS on some of the things that he said. But knowing that she has a role to play, she's just going to say, yes, babe, I love you. But I mean, as women, I think that we can kind of really hear and understand what she means when she says, I love you, or when she just stops talking. It's not just admiration. It's just like, okay, this is my role and I need to abide by that role. I need to make sure I stay in my place, but this is BS. I'm going to show you an example.
Number one. It is the number one thing. It collapses and breaks apart marriages more than anything else. And so if you have a husband that leads in it, and it's not that, again, it becomes easy to me, but guys, don't borrow money. You just start with that principle. You're not going to have any credit card debt. Now, you can use credit cards, just pay them off every month. And the only other debt that's acceptable is a mortgage payment. If you just start with that principle, you're going to be in a much better spot.
But how? What if the guy comes from nothing and doesn't know where to start?
Then he shouldn't be getting married. And then he's a boy.
Look how she's taking it. Look how she's taking in what Charlie is saying. Because she's trying to, and I understand where she's coming from right here, because what she's asking is valid. And Charlie does kind of like put down the hammers because of what he believes in, which is valid also. But if you just look at Erika Kirk, she's like, okay, but like, what if he comes from nothing? That's a valid question. What if he comes from nothing and he doesn't know where to start? And, most women will sympathize with that, even empathize with that, because they're like, okay, well, I know what he's going through, or even what she's going through, because I come from nothing. And I know that sometimes you just need a little push, or you just need to, help with being built. But then you have Charlie like, well, he shouldn't get married. That's a boy. And look at Erika's face. She's just like, okay, wow. Like, in a way, like, that's bullshit. Keep watching.
Boys should not get married.
I love you.
I love you too. But it's true. I mean, if you are not capable of providing for a wife or a family, then you should take some time before you get married. You got to figure yourself out.
Do you see her face? She does not agree with that. She clearly wasn't feeling that too much. You can tell. And I'm not trying to speak for her. I mean, but at the same time, that was like extremely obvious. And then looking at her face, she's just like, okay. But she's not going to go against her husband on his show. You know what I mean? And be like, yeah, you're wrong for that. It's not going to happen.
You got to get a skill. You got to get disciplined. You have to get.
There's a season for everything.
Yeah.
And I know that for some young girls out there, or even older women who are still looking for their human, a season of waiting is to encourage you to just continue to trust God's timing. And if you're in a season of pruning, that's probably because God's trying to refine you. And if you're in a season of fruitfulness, then enjoy that and embrace that.
I will add to that men have a much longer horizon of waiting than women. Mm-hmm. And what men need to get equipped for actually might not be as natural. Women can make very good mothers with almost no like training. It's just at 23, 24, women can make good mothers.
I don't know about that. That's hit or miss. Because some women they have to be equipped for it too, and their hearts prepared for it, or else they're going to stick their kid in front of cuckoo melon. What is it? Cocoa melon? What is it? Miss Rachel? Oh, her voice kills me. Those shows for hours. But they have to be prepared for it too. You have to, again, equally yoked, right? Equally yoked.
Next question. How...
Yeah, he shut that down really quick. But at the same time, you can see Erika still in a defense mode because she's like, that's not necessarily true. Just because she's young and basically in her prime doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to make a good mother. Some women have to be prepared for that. That is so true. I agree with Erika with that. I do not blame her at all whatsoever for what she just said, but to bring this all back to the point of this video is that it's just sometimes Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk just seems all over the place to me, and we all understand she did not, this is not something from what she says. This is not something that she saw herself getting into. This is not something that she expected to have to do. But at the same time, Charlie made sure that you guys would be okay in the event that he did pass. He makes it very clear. He said it himself. The wife can have input, but she should have nothing to do with the finances. So how does this go with honoring your husband? And in this situation, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you're telling us that one of the last things that your husband told you was that home needs you. I don't see how you're honoring that. I'm looking at that as like his last wish, like home needs you. Be with the kids. The kids they're still tiny. But no, we're worried about merch sales and hats and money and donors and elections and all of this stuff. That's honoring Charlie when he clearly says many times, and this is not the only time he says this, but he clearly says many times that finances is not the wife's burden. And even after he passed away, it still wasn't a burden because he made sure that you guys would be good. You guys weren't hurting for money. And at the end of the day, that was Charlie's company. So regardless of who was put in that CEO chair so that you could be home with your kids and watch them grow and honor your husband's wish of saying home needs you, you would still be getting paid. That money would still go into your account. It was Charlie's company. But yeah, so I don't know. Basically, I just wanted to just go over these few clips with you guys. Let me know what you guys think, because I think it's a really touchy subject. I'm not here to beat Erika down. That's not what I'm here to do. We make jokes, we have fun, we do whatever we do, But at the same time, if we really look at the bigger picture, there's just so many question marks. Erika just needs to understand that when people are asking her, like, why aren't you home with your kids? Why are you working? Why are you doing all of this? It's not for you to bring up your old ventures that you had prior to meeting Charlie that really didn't even start until after you met Charlie. It's not for you to bring that up. It's just a valid question. If you're saying and that Charlie told you home needed you, Charlie has mentioned many times that, you know, finances, that's not for the wife. That's not for her to do. He was responsible enough to make these huge companies, multiple businesses that he had, to make sure that any event that anything happened to him, his family would still be taken care of. Then what is all of this about? What is all of this about? Why is it at one moment you say this and the next moment you say that? Or one moment you say that your actions as a wife should reflect this, but then the next moment your actions reflect something totally different. But hey, I'm going to end this video right here. Listen, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, share this with your friends. Make sure that you comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Turn on that bell so you know every single time there's a new video. I want to give a huge shout out to all the new subscribers. I see you and welcome to the channel. If you do want to donate to the channel, you can hit up that Cash App or that Venmo. It's right there on your screen, the Say Thanks button down below. Or you can always throw some supers in the comments. Also, you can support us by following us on these social media accounts, which is X, TikTok, and Instagram. And until next time, I'll see you later. This has been In Cahoots Podcast. Peace.